Good evening, everyone. I'll call to order the Tuesday, March 1st meeting of the Bethany City Council. Would you please stand for the invocation by Councilmember Lunstra and remain standing for the flag salute, please.
Our Father, we come to you tonight and bring this meeting to you and lay it at your feet. We ask for your discernment and wisdom that we would do what's best. We pray for our nation tonight at critical crossroads. Pray for your will to be done for the best of the people of the United States. We thank you for our soldiers and those protecting us and their families. Pray that your best would be on them tonight. Pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. The first item on tonight's agenda is the consent docket. We have items 1A through D. Do any of those need to be pulled or addressed separately?
I have one question.
Okay.
I think it's very easy to answer. We didn't receive any billing from the landfill people. It usually goes in the first one. Or does...
What was that, Mr. Sherry?
In sanitation, the billing from our sanitation landfill folks was not in this areas, and not in this cost. And did we leave it out, or did they just not send us a bill?
We have processed all the invoices and purchase orders that we've
I can't
received.
hear you. You got to turn the controller.
We've processed all the invoices and purchase orders that Public Works has.
So it just has
So
not.
it just hasn't
Okay.
been received. It's kind of early, this rather early in the
Yeah,
month.
okay,
This being the
okay.
first, so
That's what I thought was probably the problem with it.
I'm going to guess they haven't forgot to send us one.
Well,
so.
I hope it'll probably be more than what we really want, right? Because this will have some of the costs for the tree removal or
There will probably be a little bit of cost on that, but I don't think, there hasn't been a whole lot hauled down there. We had a couple of loads, but that was back in December, I believe. So this one should be a clean bill.
Okay, good. Good, glad to hear that. I like clean bills.
Anything else, Mr. Sherry?
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you
Okay.
very much for
Do we have a motion for the consent docket as a whole?
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
Please post your votes. Item 2 is called to the public. If any member of the audience wishes to address the council, please step forward to the podium. First state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Hearing or seeing none, I'll move on to item 3, which is consideration and possible approval of a contract with Strategic Government Resources, Inc. to assist the city of Bethany in a search for city manager. David, did you have any comments on the contract?
I reviewed the contract. I added a new provision dealing with non-discrimination, which I think is right at the end of the contract. Also required that they provide insurance certificates, which they've done, and it's approved as to form and legality.
Is the that clause that you added was the last one that had the black dot?
Yeah, that's correct.
Correct. Starts with non-discrimination requirements.
Yes.
I had a question on page 4, under the first bullet, sub-bullet 2, site visits to communities of finalist candidates. will be charged at a day rate of $1,000 per day plus travel expenses. Is that $1,000 per day for Gary Holland, or $1,000 per day for what?
That's my understanding, that's the way I read it, and it's just an optional supplemental service. If the city were to choose to send them, I guess if that.
To the community?
To the community where, if that person's currently employed as a city manager or assistant city manager or whatever, they will do that. We just have to pay their travel expenses plus $1,000 for their time. And again, only a supplemental additional service should the city choose to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Will we be required to pay the $250 per hour from this SGR if they decide to send somebody to check this over, or does this $1,000 per day cover everything?
What do you, where are you speaking of the 250?
There is just
Oh,
below it.
on down? No, I think that's just saying if there's anything else not covered above that you're asking them to do, they're gonna bill $250 an hour for whatever they're asked to do, spending time on.
But it will not be.
But if you just have them go travel, that's what's enumerated out up there, $1,000 a day plus the travel expenses.
So their pay will come out of the $16,500 to send them to this, if they have to travel to the community of the finalist candidates,
No, that would be in addition to,
in addition to the $1,000 a day.
correct.
And that will be billed on as cost basis, not just necessarily a blank.
Right. The way it read was that anything that they did, they would show what their costs were, and that's the exact amount billed, no markup. But I mean, if for just the normal process of them helping us through the applications and interviews and that nature, would not exceed that 25,000. Which was basically all three of the companies we interviewed basically were the exact same amount of money.
On some of these other items that they have in here, they say expense item, and on the front page of this, I believe not the front page, but the second page says expenses, SGR, not to exceed $26,500.
Right.
That would be these incidental costs that are denoted by this phrase of not to exceed the $6,500, as is professional production of a high-quality brochure. This brochure is typically 4 pages and produced by SGR Graphics for a flat fee of $1,500. That comes out of the $6,500.
Correct. Yes, everything.
Everything does, except what you authorize in addition to.
Okay, but
And what they're providing.
if we reach more than the $6,500, then we begin to add.
But if anything listed on page 2 and 3 are part of the 6,500, you would not pay a penny over that, and they're not going to exceed that amount. In fact, we would probably be less in the fact that his travel from Stillwater to here is not going to add up to much of what it typically would if he's traveling out of state or traveling a longer distance where he's having to stay overnight. I mean,
So his fixed-based operations is at Stillwater,
Correct.
not Dallas.
correct. And then if you add the things on page 4, you're going to go above, because they have no idea, I mean, what else you want to do. But their basic search that they would do for people is enumerated out on 2 and 3, and that is all included within that 6,500.
2 and 3 is included there's a cost of $150 per candidate for each psychometric and that comes out of the 6,500.
Correct.
too.
Everything on page 3 comes out of 6,500.
And there's something else said in here that on page 3 about a background investigation of $300 per candidate. Then there was something else said that they will use a private investigator to check additional. And I believe that would be in addition to this $300 per candidate for a comprehensive background screening and report.
If it's listed on page 3, it's included. If it's listed on page 2, it's
3.
included. If it's on page 4, it's probably an additional expense item, but it wouldn't be part of a normal search. That'd be something you'd be asking them to do above and beyond what they typically contract. Go ahead. Do you have some more questions, or?
No, I'll yield to you.
Please bear with me because I have several questions. One of the things that has perplexed me a little bit is that we have scheduled, I assume, if we approve this contract tonight, we have scheduled interviews, not only with council, but staff. And I find it highly unusual that an employee has the opportunity to select or throw in criteria for their future boss if they're in a situation where a new supervisor is going to be employed. I also have a little bit of problem with interviewing our department heads from the standpoint that should there be anybody within the city that would like to apply for this position, if we have put our department heads, we either need to put all of them in or none of them in, and I would entertain that we let none of them be interviewed, because this is going to be their boss. I think that the council hires and fires 3 people: the attorney, the judge, the city manager, and we don't allow and we don't go through a process of department heads telling us who we should be hiring for attorney or judge. So why should we be doing it for the city manager? I think it is going to shed a light on both sides of, or could, not say it will, but could show a light of being either discriminatory or in favoritism. And I don't think that's right. I think as a council, this is a decision that we should be making, and that, not that I don't think that the staff and department heads input is vital. It is vital, but I think that is the position of the city manager when that city manager is hired, to deal with those heads and bring them in and talk to them his or herself. So that was my first suggestion, is that we remove department heads from being interviewed, since we're not doing all of them, we're doing some of them, or either do all of them. My second thought is this also helps to build the client base for SGR, and I don't think that that is appropriate to put our staff in that position either. I don't, in regards to the contract itself, we also discussed when we did the interviews, we talked about the staff as the council being included in all communications with SGR. I think that needs to be in a part of our contract. As an example, I think that according to the interviews that we did, there was conversation that went on between the city manager and the people that we interviewed, and I think that it's vitally important that we keep this above board, and all communication is with the 9 of us, not with a chosen few. Therefore, the periodic updates that are supposed to be occurring on the first page should go to the council as a whole. And that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th bullet. There is on page 2, under organizations, second bullet, first bullet, the providing of legal opinions, wait just a minute, yeah. The providing of legal opinions to SGR regarding when and if any information must be released in accordance with the PI request. We have previously talked about a PIO being, for the time being, until a city manager is hired, that Chief Code would be our PIO. Therefore, I think everything should run through him rather than through SGR. I am not in favor of SGR doing any publicity for this city. They're here to hire someone. The ad placement, as you just clarified, would be paid for within the terms of the contract. Is that correct? The ads that they would place on page 2, ad placement?
Yes.
Okay, and the $1,500 for the brochure will be a part of the contract, not additional.
Correct.
Okay. Then on page 4 in the first billet, under site visits to communities, the finalist candidates will be charged a day rate of $1,000 a day. And then we also talked about mileage. Does this include out of the metro area, or out of Oklahoma, or both, or any and all?
The way it's written, it would be anywhere, but I think that
If they're in
$1,000
War
is,
Acres or they're in
well,
Edmond,
I think the $1,000 is a per diem charge. That doesn't have anything to do with travel or,
so we're going to give them $1,000 to come be interviewed, is what you're saying.
that's what it says. If you authorize it, they would.
But that's not part of the normal contract. I mean, that would be us asking them to go do something that they don't normally do. So if you're asking them to go to War Acres to check out what the person does in War Acres, then, I mean, hopefully we would know what the person's doing in War Acres. I mean, if the person applying is in New York City, then we may want to know.
But this is the candidates.
Correct.
So
So if the candidate is from War Acres, I mean, it'd be a little silly to pay SGR to go to War Acres to check out what they're doing. So I would suggest we don't do that. So then, therefore, we'd never pay the $1,000.
okay, so we could eliminate that.
Correct.
Well, I'm of the opinion that when these people place their application in, they will have all of these articles that we're speaking of right now in their brochure of what they can do, their bio. So we shouldn't be in this at all. Why should we want to be sending somebody out? We're asking, if they leave something out of it, I don't think we should go out and send the bird dogs out to find out what they do.
I think we should approve the brochure, yes.
No, I don't mean the brochure. If they send out a bio, tells what they do, and we would like some more, that's all they can do. We don't send somebody out to talk to these people, no matter where they are, New York City or Edmond.
Here's how I envision that would work. Let's say that you had a candidate and Ms. Larson got a call from someone and said that person left the city of X just before criminal charges were filed against him for embezzlement, but the agreement was that none of it would be made public and criminal charges wouldn't be filed. So, you know, if you had information like that, you might want to spend the $1,000 to send somebody to City X to see if that happened.
I think as this 8-strong, 9-strong people up here sitting on this council heard something of that nature, we should be able to say, we don't even want to go there.
Well, it may be too. That's why this is an optional feature.
But, Ms. Larson, let me address what, before you go on, before I lose track of what all you've said. But on the department head part, I believe all three that were here basically mentioned that they wanted to meet with this body plus stakeholders or you know, other management within the city. I think there may be some confusion as to maybe what that is really about. To me, from what I'm gathering, it is more for them to learn about what those departments do, how they operate, what maybe their needs are or what they're looking at, so that as they go out and recruit and put the brochure together, more than anything, it's for creating the brochure. So they're able to speak more towards what we have as a police department, how we operate within our police department, and no better person to answer that than Chief Cole within the fire department. How they operate as a fire department, what their staffing is, what their needs are. No better person to speak to that than the chief. But the problem is the chief's going to be gone, so he's assigned one of his battalion chiefs. In public works, knowing how they operate, what we do, no better person to speak to that than the public works director. So more than them trying to influence or pick there's no candidates, so there's nobody to pick from right now. All they're doing is sharing their thoughts and what they see maybe as pitfalls for a city manager coming in, what they maybe see as what a challenge a city manager has coming in, helping SGR understand more about our community and more about what our needs are as they go out and try to gather applicants, and kind of knowing more about us so that they, when they're asked these questions by candidates, can answer those questions. Because obviously, if I'm going out and recruiting somebody, I'm sure I'm going to field a lot of questions from them about, why is the last city manager gone? Did they run him off? Did they fire him? Did he just retire because he's reached an age he could do so? I think those are questions they're going to field from quite a few of their candidates, and being able to intelligently answer those and not just say, well, I don't know, I'll get back with you, or you'll have to ask the city council, or, which may tell people, well, I'm not going to waste my time if I'm going to have to cut through all of that. If I can just learn from you what's going on in Bethany, then that makes it better. But the issue is there's no candidates right now. No applications have been received. Nobody's submitted any applications. So right now it's just SGR trying to absorb and learn as much about this community as they possibly can from all of us sitting up here, and then from each respective department.
We have a longevity of every one of us, with the exception of Mr. Heron, on this council. And I think that most of us, if not daily, weekly, deal with issues in the city. Do we deal with the issues that these individual department heads have? No, and I respect that. But SGR has done city manager recruits before. I respect that. I also know that the people that they're going to be interviewing, and in Oklahoma, what interaction I've had with cities of our size, we all pretty much have the same problems and the same joys. We just have a different set of circumstances. And with that said, I think that this council can afford enough information to SGR and future candidates as a whole, the 9 of us, than interviewing our department heads and setting our staff up in a situation that could be uncomfortable and unnecessary. I respect that. I respect what you're saying.
I tend to agree with what you're saying. Again, the council, I believe, are the ones that should be involved directly with SGR in the interview process.
And if they are going to interview any of the department heads, it needs to be all. They need to know about the comp plan. They need to know about our financial background. So either all or none.
I still believe that a city manager, unless he's just first-time city manager, I think they will be well aware of the things that happen within a city and different departments and what those departments will need. And with our size city. Again, I had an issue with, I voted no against this. Actually, I voted no against the process is what I did. I didn't really vote no against the individuals. or the companies, but whenever, through my questioning of the applicants, I could tell that they had talked to the city manager and the mayor previously, and I think that especially from what the mayor had said at the beginning of time, was that our previous city manager didn't need to be involved in this process whatsoever. And again, in questioning and talking to the companies, that had happened before the meeting with the council. And I said that day at the meeting that I had issues with the process. And so that's why I actually voted no. So I would be open to going back to what we had originally wanted to do, and that's have the council send out, this company is going to contact a lot of the same companies that or same entities that we had discussed contacting to send out information to prospects for the city manager position. So I think if we just as a council go ahead and do that on our own and solicit applicants for the city manager.
You're suggesting we not have a search firm?
That's correct. And I've had people ask me if the city is so strapped for money, why are we spending such a large amount for a search for a city manager?
I can just tell you that I feel like I'm kind of in a bizarro world up here sometimes, because Management 101, when a company goes to look for an executive, HP, Google, the Fed, anybody, they meet with the board of directors. We are the board of directors of this place. They don't meet with the understaff. They meet with the board of directors. That's who they answer to, and that's who pays them. That's just one reason. Another reason is the department heads would all make great candidates. So you don't want to sully the process, and you want to keep everything above board. You do not go down in the interviewing process when you're hiring someone to bring people to you. They answer to the board of directors. Just simple. And Mr. Shire, you're 100% right. On page 4, you can read a contract as many times as you want to read it and find something new in it, but travel is not covered, period. That's extra. And site visits to communities. Site visits to communities, that's $1,000 a day. Is Bethany a community? Yes. So I mean, that's the way I read it. They're gonna use every way they bill to make money. I mean, you bid it a certain way and you pray for extras, just like a plumber. But yeah, these expenses, I think if we could eliminate some of them, just like we said, $1,000 a day to a visit to a community.
I have one more issue.
Since my name has been mentioned, I've been watching enough of these debates that we've been having on TV. I think I get to answer that question. I believe the way that I know that Mrs. Holloway is thinking about down there. I've been here some years, and we've had 3 city managers that have worked for us. We had a city manager when I got here, was an excellent person. He was hired by the council. They didn't go out and reach out a search firm. When we hired Mr. Dan Galloway years ago, we didn't go out and use a search firm to find us somebody to do that. And when we went out and when we hired Mr. Man, what am I talking about here? When we hired a previous city manager, we picked him up out of the people that had worked for us and knew exactly what this city was going. Now, I don't think I can fault any one of those people for not doing us an excellent job. There is a number, there's 9 people on this horseshoe up here. And if we cannot put together a search for a city manager no more than what these people are going to do, because we know how you go search for one. If you want to search outside the city, you advertise in the OML or OMAG journal, or you might even want to go down to Texas and advertise into theirs. But I just can't see spending, I know, the writing is on the wall, $25,000. And then something that we don't know that may be in the bag that may run us another $10,000 to $15,000.
And when this came up to hire a firm in our meeting, it was brought up, how much might that cost? And the dollar amount that was mentioned was $500. And at
Actually,
that
I said
moment-
500 to 50,000. I'm the one that said that in the
Okay.
meeting. So,
Well,
You got
again,
close,
it's
but
more
pretty
than,
good spread
it's
there.
more than $500, and again, we've had citizens questioning why we're spending that much money. And again, I agree with Councilmember Shirey. We've done these searches before, and I think we're capable of doing that.
The other issue that I had, or that I wanted to discuss, was that, Mr. Davis, my question is, we have 120 days from the time that Mr. Sugar, city manager, resigned. That date's the 26th of February, I believe.
20, yeah, I think that's right.
Okay,
Is it
so
120
with
days
that,
or is it
that's
6
the
months?
case, we
6
can't,
months.
under terms and conditions,
6
we
months.
can't leave in the 120 days. We'll have to do it in a shorter time span, and as of today, 115 days. So I'm wondering if we need to maybe move this up instead of 6 months, 5 months, or 4.5 months. I failed to look it up in the charter before the meeting, I apologize. My
I'll look it
family
up
came
right
first
now.
is my only
But the
excuse.
charter does set a time
It's 6
limit
months.
for filling that position.
Well, then it would be okay.
You have 6 months from,
6 months. Okay, then we could be okay. We could be okay then. And I think that concludes my questions and questions and comments, with the exception of, we have a great opportunity right now to start fresh and select someone that will bring new ideas and new management without any influence. And I think the best way to do that on a clean slate, if we as the council are calling the shots, and I think we can handle it in such a manner that no disrespect to any of the department heads. I want to emphasize that tenfold. I have the utmost respect for every one of them. I just don't think this is appropriate.
I'd like to make a motion that the council start the search for the city manager.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the council to
could I
do the
ask a
search.
question on this?
Go ahead.
So that means we do it, the
Correct.
staff is not involved?
Correct.
So who's creating brochures, who's doing background checks?
You.
There are companies we can do that will do that.
So you're going to hire somebody to do that?
Not for $25,000.
Okay.
I think a few $100s is, I don't even think it's that much.
So you're saying we would do all of the work? We would accept the applications, we would place the ads?
Right, and you're gonna
We
probably
would
have to,
do
as the
all of the
applications come in,
brochures?
as the applications come in, you may have to spend a Friday and Saturday reading them.
I'm sure we'll do that anyhow, but
Yes,
I don't know that we
that's a
need to
foregone
send out.
conclusion, isn't
I
it?
don't see us doing it.
So we're
It's
not,
been
we're not
done in the
duplicating
past.
any work.
I have plenty of people who've done background checks. I've done background checks, not only in my own business, but in a church organization and in a corporate organization. It's not as difficult as you think.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor for the council to do the hiring process. Please post your votes. That fails. Did you get that, Susan? Okay.
I move that we approve the contract and authorize the mayor to execute the document with one change, and that is in the bullet that says, provide periodic updates regarding the process of the search as frequently as desired to the council as a whole would be the addition.
May I ask you to amend that to not interview department heads?
I don't think that is in the document itself.
It can be changed. We're gonna have to change some things anyway.
No, I'm just saying, I don't think the document
They don't specifically enumerate that.
that we.
But we can specify it, though.
Yeah, but can we put that, I mean, do we want to say that they could not interview?
That they would not be part of the interview.
I mean, it'd be pretty simple.
Just the council.
We'll just eliminate those times from what, when Gary was going to be meeting, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, if that's a desire of the council as a whole, that's exactly what we'll do.
And I would like that to be specified in the contract.
Okay, so you're okay with that? So we're adding, eliminating department heads from being interviewed, and what was the other thing you were,
That all of the
oh, the communication be to the,
communication
yeah.
be with the council.
I've got a question about council members or department heads being interviewed. Interviewed for what? For the position? Or to be spoken to as it was addressed earlier in this conversation that you elicited to?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
You know, you said you were upset about, or you didn't quite see why the council, I mean, the department heads were spoken to by the,
I did not think that SGR needed to interview tomorrow and Friday department heads to gain their information. I think SGR can get their
that's what-
information
but they can
from the
be
council.
interviewed as applicants for our city managers,
If they apply through SGR.
if they applied for it. That's what I want clear.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please post your votes. Okay, that passes. Didn't you second, Ms. Larson, did you second that motion?
Did I?
Nobody seconded.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I had a second. That was my fault.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. I'll flip my phone.
No, it
I
was
made
not
the
seconded.
motion.
She made the motion, I don't think it was ever
It
seconded.
was
Okay,
on-
I apologize.
We talked about what would be added to the motion,
You're correct.
but I don't think there was a second.
Do we have a second?
You're amending it. Okay, I will second it, and you can take your revote if you want.
Okay, please post your votes. Got it? Okay. Item 4 is the city attorney's report, David.
I don't have any additional items.
Okay, item 5, city manager's report, Steve. Acting city manager's report.
Acting city manager, we changed it from interim. I have a couple of things. Number one, in reference to the vote we just took and the result of that vote, part of SGR's contract involved another couple of sheets that were behind the contract, which were information sheets that are used to make the multi-page advertisement for this position. We had already begun, we as staff had already begun filling this out. It's everything from demographics to information about the school systems to, am I to believe that we should stop doing that, empty them, and hand them to,
I think the council should review it before it's released.
well,
My personal
definitely,
opinion.
definitely,
If you need, I don't
council
know.
would review that.
How
But
to do it.
On page 2, where it says the organization shall, it says, provide photos and graphics and information necessary
That's what
to
it's
develop.
referring to.
And that's what you're
Yes,
doing.
yes.
And that is our requirement. So, I mean, it makes sense for you to do that and then send it around for
I have
approval
no,
and
I have no
concept.
hesitation about that. Okay, so, okay. In reference, before I go to this, I want to go to something else. For those of you, for the citizens of Bethany who have not had the opportunity to go to Channel 20 yet, you really should. It's quite the thrill. We add something every day to Channel 20. What got added today was Let's Clean Up Our Town, which Jack Fricker, who is the senior inspector for Bethany, is putting on a presentation. Well, it's actually just a hands-on kind of roundtable deal, which gives property owners in Bethany the opportunity to learn how to take care of property, how to redo property, that kind of information. There will be members from the fire department there, the police department. I know I talked to the chief about this. It's information about the broken window syndrome. For those people who don't know what that is you don't take care of your property, it falls into disrepair. It brings in the kind of people that we don't want in our neighborhoods, and it's a proven fact that this happens. Anyway, it's going to be Tuesday, March 17th. Thursday, March 17th, from 7 to 9 p.m. It'll be at the Children's Center. I think this is really would be something good for the citizens in Bethany to come to. Some of the council members are going to be there. I believe we're going to go ahead and get an agenda ready just so we're covered in case enough of the council comes to it. So again, that will be Thursday, March 17th from 7 to 9 at the Children's Center, which is 6800 on 39th Expressway. Also, so that I can let the council know, we had an incident that I sent out an email about where we had a piece of equipment that was destroyed in a fire at the Eldon Lion Park. Again, we had no one injured in the incident. We are still investigating the incident. I really don't have any more information available as to the exact extent of the damage, the costs. Again, the most important thing as far as I'm concerned as the personnel person was that we had no one injured. I think that considering what we have been doing since roughly Thanksgiving and we've had no one injured is a miracle, and we will keep that miracle going. We have discontinued burning until we find out exactly what happened, and we plan on resuming burning when we get everything kind of lined out and know what's going on. So we will let you know as soon as we know what has happened and what we are doing to make sure that it does not happen again. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Item 6 is council members' announcements, comments, and proposals. Councilmember Harris, I'll start with you tonight.
I just am glad to see that Steve got the opportunity to really hit the ground running this weekend. It was kind of exciting. Want to commend our police department for the actions they had today as we were watching it on television and watching it go down. It was handled well, and so I commend them for their work today.
Thank you. Councilmember Holloway?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I am excited about the meeting that we're having on March the 17th, and I want to invite everybody to come. Please share that information with your neighbors, and please encourage them to come to the meeting. It will be held at the Children's Center. I am also very thankful that no one was hurt with the accident at Eldon Lyon Park during the limb burn. And I think that is a great blessing, and if something bad had to happen, it is never so bad. It couldn't have been worse, so it's not that bad.
Councilmember Moore?
Thank you. I just want to thank the citizens. My business is on 23rd Street, so I think it kind of makes it easier for people to pop in and be able to walk into my office. And I hear from probably as many, if not more, than anybody on this council, good, bad, or otherwise, and I hear it all. I get earfuls. I just want to thank them. They are amazing. They're a treasure trove of information about each one of us, about the city, about what's going on in the city. The people in Bethany are in touch. Just they are silent, but they know what's going on in this city. It's a small town. There's no secrets in this town. If you think there is, there's not. But I want to thank the citizens for allowing me, actually us, to be the temporary stewards of these offices that we hold. And it is a true honor to serve them. That's all.
Councilmember Lundstrom?
I have nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Councilmember Larson?
I want to thank you, Mr. Hartman, for fulfilling this position for a while till we get someone to take it permanently, and for the work that you've done on Channel 20 and the website. I know it's been a long time coming, and it's turning out to be a really good thing. I'm also grateful for no injuries on the accident at Eldon Lyon. I'm also anxious to hear once we get through where we are and what we have accomplished in this many months of hard work. And I just want to express my appreciation to our police and fire departments, our code enforcement, our staff. I don't think we as council members really truly understand some of the things that you have to face on a daily basis with the public, but you stick your nose to the grind and you keep doing it, and I just want to say thank you. You are appreciated. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Herron?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I just want to say Bethany is a great place to live. I also work here quite often. It's exciting to see all the construction going on here. We had a good town hall meeting last week. I do wish there would have been more residents that showed up, but I enjoyed taking the survey with the clickers and getting a true feel of actually what the citizens want in real numbers instead of just hearsay on what people want. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. That's all I have. Thank you.
I need to say one more thing, Mayor.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I want to welcome Ethan Heron. Thank you for being here tonight. This may not be the most fun thing for you, but I hope you learn a little bit while you're here tonight. Thanks for coming.
Councilmember Shirey?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was reviewing the expenses for the last, and that came up in this session, and I noticed that our workman's compensation has been dropping, and that is in large part due to our continuing effort for training and having a staff that's beginning to attend to doing a very safe job. And I hope they realize that if our workman's compensation is low, we can pay them more money.
They do.
That is the most important thing we can possibly do. And it also relieves suffering and that they may do in this business about no accidents since we've started the abatement of the tree business in Bethany is very heartening to me, because at one time we were paying an exorbitant amount for workman's compensation above what we should be paying, and I think we can continue to reduce that is for our department heads to go after a training program that really works. And I understand being a personnel director, that's going to be, you didn't change hats or anything, did you? Just
No,
stacked another one
I
on
still
there?
have that one on,
Okay.
yes.
You know where I'm coming from. Also, this meeting that we're going to have, Let's Clean Up Our Town, is something that you mentioned, the broken window syndrome. Well, that's only part of it. If it looks shabby, you're going to get shabby people. And we don't want shabby people because shabby people just don't care. And I think that as many people as we possibly can should turn out for this. And if we have any billing that needs to go out, if we could prepare some sort of a letter to go in there telling them about this, that we were going to have it, just a short page on it, or maybe even add it to the bill, it would behoove them to come. Also, the most important thing is this town is getting older and older. And it's one of my friends that had to move into a nursing home had to sell their home because they needed the money to go into this nursing home. And the more money that they can have out of their house, the better their life's going to be at a nursing home. And that is more of a bank account that we keep all the time, our homes are. And if we can make them more valuable, we need to do that. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Knapp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, Mr. Harsman, Acting City Manager.
Thank you.
I'll add to the hot seat. I've been a lot of places today, and everywhere I went, I saw, and I just want to thank everybody. I think every member on the council has the I voted sticker today. Just thank you, everyone who voted today. I'd like to extend a congratulations to a young man, Kyle Muth. I don't know that he'll be watching, but Kyle Muth completed the requirements and earned the rank of Eagle Scout. I'll be serving as his Master of Ceremonies this weekend at a Eagle Court of Honor. So it's an achievement. Last thing I have tonight is just a reminder, I'll say this again, 5 weeks from today, we vote for a library, vote on a library. So just a reminder, April 5th, 5 weeks from today. Thank you.
Thank you. I have nothing this evening. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany City Council? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until March 15th, 2016. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Public Works Authority. We have the consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
Motion to approve, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, please post your votes. Item 2 is new business. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Public Works Authority? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until March 15th, 2016. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Hospital Trust. We have the same consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Please post your votes. Thank you. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Hospital Trust? Hearing or seeing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until March 15th, 2016. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Development Authority. We have the consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
So moved.
Do we have okay. Please post your votes. Thank you. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Development Authority? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until March 15th, 2016. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned, and that concludes tonight's business. Thank you.